I got so many steps this past week. So many steps in. Hi everybody. For those of you who are new here, I have been in the process this last month of getting my house ready to sell. I currently live in an 1,100 square foot house in Napa, California, and we are moving to Denver, Colorado for relocation for my husband's work. We have been attempting to get our house ready to go on the market. This house was a hoarder house when we bought it. We put a lot of sweat equity into it. We redid the kitchen, redid one of the bathrooms, sort of figured things out. We didn't have a lot. We couldn't afford good contractors, so we learned to do a lot of things ourselves. There were plenty of projects that needed to get done that we just kept putting off and putting off because it was our house and we can get to them eventually. And then we got the news of the relocation and suddenly we had to get this house ready to sell. We have never sold a house before. First-time home sellers. We needed to figure out what in the hell we were supposed to do. Our realtor gave us some great advice, but I headed over to the Google to kind of bump up my knowledge of what to do so that we can make our house ready to sell in the era of COVID-19 and listing photos and everything else. And so I thought, now that I've done this, I've gotten the home ready to sell. We're, as I'm filming this, right about to list. I don't know how successful I am because when I'm filming this, we haven't sold it yet. I was surprised by some of the things I learned. I thought I would give you 5 tips as a total noob that I learned from Google University and other places, friends and realtors and other things. 5 things I learned to get your house ready for photography and showing when you want to sell it. Because I will tell you right now, a lot of this hadn't occurred to me. Number 1, your house needs to be hella clean. I'm not talking about your in-laws are coming over kind of clean. I'm talking about your in-laws are coming over with one of those detective magnifying glasses and those white gloves to check for dust kind of clean. I'm talking about Mary Poppins is gonna get all over your ass if you don't clean it kind of clean. Maybe not Howard Hughes clean, that's a little overboard, but really fucking clean. I washed my walls. My son RJ, who was helping me clean up a bunch of the house, wrote a poem to his magic eraser because he got so friendly with it when he was doing a bunch of cleaning. The more I cleaned, the more I noticed other things that I didn't think I had to clean. But then once one thing was clean, it made it obvious that this other, it was like a chain event of cleaning. If it's a house you've been living in, you're not gonna notice it. You get used to it, right? And I have talked about on my podcast and I've talked about in videos and I've talked about on live streams that I was a child of hoarders. I've always felt like I never understood how you were supposed to clean. So this entire cleaning experience was really like stressful for me because I had no idea what the limit was. And so I erred on the side of like sanitized where you could like eat off of it, but then you cleaned up after you ate off of it. When you are planning the time for getting your house ready for pictures and getting your house ready to have people come over, do not underestimate how much time it is going to take your place to get clean. Side note, we actually were going to see if we could get someone to professionally clean the house. We had kind of come to terms with that even with COVID and everything else, but then our photography got moved up and we didn't have time for that, so there was that. But we did a really good job. The house is really clean. I'm very proud of it. However, it wrecked me physically and we were all exhausted and cranky and it was worth it, but dude, don't underestimate the amount of time you're gonna need to clean and don't underestimate how much stuff in your house you think is clean, but you'll notice isn't clean once the stuff next to it is clean, if that makes sense. So when I first started getting the house ready about a month ago, when I started packing up all the shit we weren't gonna need, our realtor basically said, pack up as much personal belongings as you can, everything you're not gonna need for the next couple of months to get your house as empty as possible. People are gonna want to be able to visualize their own things in your house, and so the amount of stuff to pack up and get out of the house is really important. We packed almost 80 boxes worth of stuff. So our house actually got very depersonalized. However, I was taking time to like arrange the coffee pot to look really nice or whatever on the counters and like arrange some knickknacks. And then when we got closer to photography time, I went online and I looked and I realized that even those things were not recommended to be out. So my second tip for you is clear all of your counters and surfaces off. Just clear them off. Our coffee pot wound up in the pantry for the photography. I just went to Starbucks and bought Jesse coffee that day. Everything went, all toothbrushes, shampoos out of the bathtub. All of my makeup is crammed into my dresser drawer right now, and the only thing that's left out is a thing full of towels and a candle in a holder, and it's not even a lit candle. Like everything. Our desks We just cleared everything personal off, put them into bins and put them in the garage while the photographer was here. Both kids are basically keeping their desks cleared off at this point, but Jesse brought some of his knickknacks out because he doesn't like not having things on his desk. But like, we went ham and just cleared everything off of all of the surfaces. The recommendation I read was if you're gonna have anything out in your bathroom, just have a couple of neatly folded towels. And what I decided to do on my own, this wasn't something that was recommended, but I actually love how it looked as we have smaller bathrooms in this house, is I put bright white towels. I just bought some cheap ones from Target and put neatly folded white towels in both bathrooms to help them look a little bit brighter and bigger. Now, I just said take everything off your counters for tip number 2. Tip number 3 is like accept. They do recommend you put out some fresh flowers or some fresh fruit on a couple of surfaces, not all of them, just a couple, to kind of liven up the house. I did put out fresh fruit. We always seem to have a metric shit ton of oranges and lemons in this house, so I put a bowl of oranges on our pass-through and a bowl of lemons on our table with some fake flowers. I know they said fresh flowers, but I have cats, and cats will eat the fresh flowers, and I just did not want to deal with that, so fake flowers it is. I just made sure that they're fake flowers that don't look super heinous. But speaking of cats, tip number 4, if you have pets, they need to pull a Houdini. They need to disappear. Every trace of them needs to disappear. That meant that the morning of our photography, the cat tree, the cat box, the cat bowls, the cat toys, the cat beds, the cats themselves, all were in the garage with Jesse, because they didn't take pictures of the garage because, God, as beautiful as the house looked, if they took a picture of the garage, that's where everything in the house is right now. So it wasn't gonna happen. But they all were out there in the garage while the photographer was in here. Every sign of the cats was gone. When it comes to staging your house for showing, the same thing needs to happen, but you also need to make sure you have gotten rid of any of the odors, which I'm going to talk more about in a minute. And let's be real here. My cats actually don't smell that much. We have the litter robot that cycles. It does a pretty good job of removing most litter box odors because it keeps itself clean. However, Loki, we realized that his gigantic amounts of pee and his constant peeing, which we always just thought was him just being a cat that pees a lot, actually has to do with his kidney problems. That does add a little bit of extra flavor to the litter box, but it's not that bad. But yeah, so for the pictures, getting rid of the cats, getting rid of all of their stuff, that was fairly easy. They were in the garage. Jesse had to deal with them being unhappy for 2 hours while he worked out there, and the pictures were taken. But for the showings, it's a little bit more complicated. We're still gonna put all the cat stuff out in the garage, but the cats themselves, it's going to be really hard to keep them in the garage, especially since people who are looking at the house are likely going to want to take a peek in the backyard, and those cats will dart back into the house if that happens. We are sending the cats to a friend's house. Hopefully this works out okay. Loki's been around other cats before. Lulu hasn't, except when he was a baby, but we'll see how it goes. We're basically going to put the cats with a babysitter when we have showings in the house. So if you have pets, it's something to keep in mind. And the final tip is specifically about showings and actually related to cats as well, and that is the smell of your house. The smell. I have a bionic nose. I've talked about this before. Again, I think it came from being a kid of hoarders. I can smell mold and mildew in the walls a mile away. There was a time in the house we rented where I could smell it for months and nobody believed me until it got through the wall, and I was like, I fucking told you so. Now they listen to me if I smell something funky or off-putting. But you may not have a bionic nose. You may not notice when your house smells a certain way because you live there. It's very easy to get used to the smells of your house when you're there all the time, especially this last year when we tend to have been in our homes a lot more than usual. And so dealing with the smells of your house is very important when people come over to see it. So the first thing you have to make sure to do in terms of the smell of your house is remove all the janky smells. So that means clean up your trash area. Like if we have a pull-out trash can, so cleaning up that drawer just to get rid of anything yucky in there is important. Washing the trash cans out, moving the cat box. We also have teenagers, so it's really important to make sure that we wash the sheets from their rooms and do all the laundry from their rooms. They're not actually here right before we're going to be showing, so it's not quite teenager funky, but there is some smell that comes from their stuff, so just making sure everything is clean and put away so that there isn't anything to offer that funky sock or weird cat smell. And the tip that I learned in terms of neutralizing any smells that might be in your carpets is to sprinkle them with baking soda and then let them sit for like 15 minutes and then vacuum it up. So I'm gonna be doing that tomorrow. The next thing that they recommend that we will absolutely be doing, especially since the weather is really nice this week, is airing the house out. We're gonna open all the windows up and just let the fresh air come through. It can get really stuffy in here, especially in the winter when we have everything closed up. Now that it's gonna be beautiful this week, airing the house out, especially after removing anything that could smell funky, that'll help wash away any of the funky smells and really neutralize the scent of the house. And then finally, they do recommend that you have something that smells subtle, not overpowering, not something that pulls the nose, but subtle when people come over to your house, and that it is consistent throughout the house. Now, the recommendation I've heard the most has been to have like cinnamon or something baking, that kind of a smell in the house. My problem is those kinds of smells tend to trigger me is not the right word, but they are not smells that I feel great about when I'm around. Like they do not smell pleasant to me, and with my bionic nose, having smells that aren't pleasant to me make me miserable. I was a baker for 7 years. The smells of baking do not always make me feel super happy. So I went online to see if there was something else that I could potentially use that wasn't baking related, and I found that subtle citrus smells also, I'm so lispy today, my lisp is bad. Subtle citrus smells can also be helpful, and that sun-washed citrus, a Bath & Body Works scent, is a dupe for the smell in the Anthropologie store, and that one also works well and is subtle. And so, how many times can I say subtle? Now, I've never been in an Anthropologie, so I'll take their word for it. Editing Cindy here. In the time since I filmed this video, I have been into an Anthropologie, and they're not wrong. It is very much a dupe for that, and it smells really good. But I actually really like that scent. It's actually my current personal scent. Like, that's the body spray and the body wash I've been using for my daytime body wash. I actually really like it. It doesn't have that like heavy duty lemon head smell that I get from other candles. It is very subtle. It's very light, and I really like that. So I went and I picked up the wallflowers of that scent, and I grabbed the hand soaps, because even though they don't want anything on the counters, it's fucking COVID-19 season, my friends, and I am not having sinks in this house and rando strangers in my house without a hand towel and some hand soap out. So there will be this hand soap that matches the scent of the house. And I'll add on the end of this like scent journey that we've been on, that the other reason that the sun-washed citrus scent to me is the one that really feels like the right one to use for showing the house is because even though the rest of the house doesn't really feel like ours right now, it feels fancy and nice, which is definitely not us. A light citrus scent will make it feel at least a little bit like home while we're in this process, because citrus is by far my favorite scent. Give me a good citrus perfume, a good citrus candle, a good citrus air freshener, a good citrus fucking counter spray, and I am all for it. Like, citrus is my jam. So that is something that makes me feel pretty good. And those are the 5 things that I have learned as a complete newbie. I still haven't sold this house yet, so I still am a newbie. I'm still a first-time home seller because we haven't done it yet. But I will say that I hope that this helps you if you're ever in this position to have to show a house, photograph a house, sell a house, that it gives you at least a starting point for your Google University journey. I hope it helps you, because it has been a very intense process. We're not done with it yet, but I am feeling good about the progress that we've made, and I am proud of the work that we've done around here to make this place feel really excellent, like an excellent choice. An excellent choice. Taster's choice. Taste the rainbow. It's been a long day, you guys. And on the note of the sun-washed citrus and the way this house doesn't really feel like mine right now, but that little smell does help a little bit, I'd love to know from you one thing that you love to do in your home, whether it's a house you own or you're in an apartment or you have your own room or whatever the case may be, your space. What is one thing that you do that makes it feel cozy and yours? What is one thing that is your most important thing in your space that makes you feel at home in it? I'd love to hear it in the comments below, because soon we're going to be making a new home, and I am going to be trying really hard to settle into it. We just settled into this house and now we're moving to another one. So I've got that on my mind. So let me know your tips in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, my friends, peace out.